Hey guys, and welcome to our LinkedIn live show that we're also broadcasting onto YouTube. So I'm Scott Riley, and I am joined today by Martin Kennedy.
Hello.
Hey Martin, and I'm also joined by Ben Wildman.
Hello.
Hey Ben, how's it going?
What are you?
Good man, good. So we put this thing together. It's part of our, I guess it's almost part of our own mental health in the workplace, because it's just, we find that we're going from like Teams calls to Teams calls to Teams calls. It's all just business, business, business. And we do a lot of times where it's just good to just jump on a call and hang out. And we thought, why not? Because we just yabber on about stuff that's happened in the news and in IT and what's happening. Just share that with everybody else. And we think it's interesting, although I've pitched this in my own mind as a really crap version of Top Gear, where three blokes kind of get together and talk about a very specialist subject that hopefully other people find it interesting. So look, we're just going to do a quick news roundup of some things that we found interesting. This week, things that caught my eye. I found this very interesting. Let's have a little dig into this. So this is all about the laptops that are being given out to kids because they're not able to get to school at the moment, and so the government has pledged to give laptops to them all, so that people can, learn from home. The thing that gets me about this is that, I mean, let's cut to the 96 million pounds went to a Tory donors firm, but all right, let's try and breeze past the politics here. What got me, I'm trying desperately, but so it's 60 million pounds, right, to provide 230,000 laptops. Now I'm not great at maths, so I got my little calculator and it says it's 260 pounds per laptop. Now I'm already looking at that and going, you're not going to get a good laptop for that. And is that really going to support your home learning? But it gets worse, because what we've seen is that the laptops that are actually coming out for these guys are something called a Geo book. Now, I've never heard of a Geo book. No, exactly. Yeah. What is that? And it's not just me, right? I've been on the Schools Week forums, and they're looking at it going, what are these things? I've been around LinkedIn and I've got people saying, I've been in IT for 25 years. What is that? And you can see, I mean, it's a seller on the laptop. It hasn't even got an SSD card. It's got a fancy 32 gig flash, and not even a really good flash. This thing is what we're doing now. The government spent £260 a unit. This is how much it was when it was in stock at Curry's, 63 quid.
Bargain.
What is this? Has anyone seen one of these? What is this?
No.
No idea.
I don't know.
And will it run the software they require? Has anybody tested them?
No. So this is the thing now. So the guys who are trying to, so the IT administrators at the schools who are trying to roll this out are looking at it and going, right, let's try and get Office, 2016, 2019 on there. It doesn't work. It doesn't install. Apparently, the quality of the build on these things is useless as well. So the trackpad is horrendous. The support website fails whenever you jump onto it. It just does not work. These things are horrible. Worse still, if you're an IT admin. Now, Ben, you used to be an IT admin in schools, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
These things don't boot off network. They find it very difficult to boot off USB. They're almost impossible to flash and put your own image on. So in terms of getting these out to the schools, great. But then the school IT guys have got to sit there and faff with these things for hours now to make them go for the kids.
Yeah,
absolutely crackers.
Absolute pain, yeah.
Now, I bet if I was to give you guys, what did I say, 260 quid? And don't do it now, but if I was to give you guys 260 quid, you're going to come at me with a better spec laptop, probably from a main brand that I can get support.
If you give me 60 million.
Yeah. I'll get you some laptops, right? Yeah, I'll get you 230,000 laptops.
Yeah, I know someone, yeah.
Now, it only gets worse because, of course, now that these have started to land, and there's been a big delay, so like only 50% of these shipped at some point. They're catching up. Worse is that we're putting more money back into these guys to give even more laptops to kids to go and get more of these same crap laptops. But even worse, and you can probably see it coming, malware found on laptops.
You could have made it up.
This is crackers.
It was really old malware as well, wasn't it?
It is. Yeah. So it's a really old version of a virus that they think is now dialing into Russian servers. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Yeah. So we've given away 60 million quid, well, 96 million pounds to go and give the kids laptops. we've given them some of the worst laptops that we've ever seen, that a brand that people have never heard of, that is really, really subpar. I mean, a Chromebook would be better than this. Any Chromebook, just pick one, they'd be better than this.
Absolutely.
And then when we've given it to them, the bloody things have got malware on them. What is happening? Now,
Crazy.
I've got to say, I think there's a few people who've kind of taken it on themselves to sort this out. And I'm just going to call out one, and I know there's many up and down the country that are doing this, but there's people like Adam over at Express IT. And Adam has set up his own little group to say, hey, can you bring together any old laptops that you've got, any old business laptops, anything that you're not using, anything that you've got sat there, because we've got kids in our area. He's in Wigan and Leigh, so he's over in Lancashire. They've got kids in their area that need to learn from home. They're either not getting the stuff that's coming from the government, or the stuff they're getting from the government's useless. And what he's doing is doing a drive to go and get IT, old laptops. And we've all seen businesses that have just got tons and tons of laptops sat around, refurbish them, stick a new drive in it, and they're off. And so I'd applaud Adam and Express IT and any of the guys up and down the country that, I just think this is nice when we actually, we take more action ourselves instead of just sitting back and looking at the government saying, you're doing a crap job. These are terrible items. These guys take it on the chin. They're really, really sorting it out.
Yep.
So, for me, really applaud for Adam and those guys.
And he's destroying the old hard drives, so there's no issue with data protection there. There's no issue with giving kids malware on their laptop. Re-imaging them. So that's really good. Well done.
No, you're absolutely, and I think it's fantastic. I think to see people stepping up and taking action that way. Really, really good stuff. Now, the malware made me think, Martin, of something that happened to you a while back with let's just say an anonymous customer, and this was a while back, but it kind of again it brought back to mind because I know that right now Bitcoin is at an all-time high, or it was at an all-time high, hit like a fancy $37,000. And Bitcoin ransoms used to be a really big thing. Now, it just reminded me, what's the worst that could happen, Martin?
What
if someone gets a bit of malware?
And would you sit right now with the inflated value of Bitcoin thinking, should I have given away that half a Bitcoin, I think it was?
So just tell the story for people who don't know. What set the scene for me?
It's a horrible situation. It was a Friday afternoon. Customer phones up. We've got this message on the screen, don't know what it is. It was quite early days with the kind of crypto business. Drove down to their offices having a look, me and one of the other guys, and we're like, right, okay, you've been cryptoed. Is it real? Is it genuine? Done all the investigations, looked at the emails, looked at the requests, tried to access their data, couldn't. So that was the worst bit of it. Okay, best thing to do, get the backups, see if we can just recover the data. I'm not paying the ransom. Ransom was about point something of a Bitcoin. It was like 400 quid. It was like half a Bitcoin or something.
So hang on, just to be clear, so at this time, half a Bitcoin, which would now cost you about $18,000, half a Bitcoin was 400 quid.
Yeah, so you're rubbing it in, Scott. and it still hurts. It really does still hurt. The problem was that the customer was in a situation where we could recover. It was a big database. It was encrypted as well. We could recover it, but it'd be over a week old or about a week old, and they didn't think they could really catch up with what they had lost. And they're like, right, okay, it's 400 quid. Let's take a punt. Rather than us working all weekend, you guys working all weekend, putting all your data back into your database, etc. Let's give it a shot. So, how do we get a Bitcoin? On the phone, other colleagues that we worked with at the time, give them a shout out. Actually, it was Jason, Rico, and Barry. So we had basically Rico and Jason in the city centre, or in the city centre office, thinking, how do we get a Bitcoin? Right, okay, we need a Bitcoin wallet. I'll set up a Bitcoin wallet. Right, I've done that. How do you buy a Bitcoin? Right, okay. There's a Bitcoin cash machine in Glasgow City.
And there's a Bitcoin cash machine.
Do you just put £20 notes in it?
Yes, that is exactly it. you put cash in, and you put in the address of where you're sending it to, and magically half a Bitcoin appears.
Wow. So
you
you
know,
feed in 400 quid
Yeah.
in cash to buy a Bitcoin.
you couldn't do it now, standing there with 18,000 quid.
To buy half a Bitcoin.
But so we did buy it. It's a question really for you guys and everybody else is, would you pay the ransom? I personally think it was worth it. Saved a lot of hassle. It was only 400 quid.
Yeah.
Morally, you really shouldn't be doing it, but it was a bad situation and it was the easiest way out.
Yeah.
So we've done it, paid it off immediately, bang, done, sorted, got the weekend back. Months and months later, I was buying a certificate from Namecheap, and Rick was like, "Look, you can pay me Bitcoin. We still got Bitcoin. We've got a little bit left over." So, so that's probably the most expensive certificate ever.
How much was the actual certificate?
Yeah, it was like 20 or 30 quid.
Wow.
So it was like 0.00 something of a coin.
Which today
now probably
£2,000.
probably a couple of £1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it's slightly depressing, but
well, I don't know. It could be more depressing,
Could be worse.
couldn't it? You could be this guy.
Yes.
You could be this guy. Sorry for the advert that's jumped in the way, but this guy threw away a USB stick that's got Bitcoins on it that is now worth over $80 million. Now, I heard a different story that it was actually worth over 200, and he'd offered about £50 million, $80 million. He'd offered that to get the town together to go and dig up the landfill to get his USB stick back.
It does not just have to be the town. I am more than willing to go and dig around.
I'll travel. Yeah, I'll happily travel. I'll come down and I'll see. I'll help. I'll help for a share of this Bitcoin.
Yeah, wonder how many hard drives you would actually find in that landfill, and then you have to figure out which one's his, and what the content of some of those would be.
I'm not sure I'd want to see what's on them. Yeah. Oh, this is stuff that you lot threw away. Ooh, okay.
But this password chap as well was his.
Yeah, so there's a guy. He's got two password attempts left. Yeah, so man has. Let me just. I'm going to just Google this.
So which one's worse? Well, I don't know. Would you rather have lost it in a landfill and know you could get to it, or keep your hands nice and clean?
Can you get to it?
Well, hypothetically, you could, but you have a shot at that because you know it's in there, or trying to guess your own passwords,
Yeah, which one feels worse? He's like, I know I set a password. It's got £175 million in it, and he's got two guesses left.
PASS.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Password 123.
Yeah. Absolutely horrendous. So you've got £175 million sat there, and then I guess for every day that he sits there and looks and goes, I still can't remember the password. Bitcoin's doing this again now.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh man, no, absolutely amazing. I noticed. So this is something that we will fall out over potentially, because I did notice that also in the news this week that the BBC has appointed a diversity officer.
Here we go, BBC basher.
No, just look. I don't mind. I think it's massively important that all large organizations should invest in diversity and inclusion. I think that's really important. Don't get me wrong. But the BBC have appointed someone on £325,000 a year to be their diversity strategy officer. Now, I think it always claws back to me because I look at the BBC and I go, I don't believe in the business model. I don't believe that I should be allowed to broadcast a signal into your home onto a device that you can't refuse and then charge you for it. Because if that's the way it's working, I'm going to come around to your house, Martin, and just start playing live music outside and going, what? Well, you've got ears, haven't you? That'll be 50 quid.
Yeah, if it's good.
It's not good.
Come on.
It's not good music.
So we are. Well, the music's not good on the BBC, but yeah.
But do you go to the BBC website and look at the news? Do you listen to BBC? Do you listen to? Is it Radio 4 for you, Scott? Now,
look. Let me be clear. My wife pays for the TV license because I refuse and I object. I'm just like that. But do you not think that it's time that they encrypt it, just like Netflix and Disney and all the other things that, admittedly, I still pay for? Or my brain just says, do you know what? If you were to just call it a tax, I wouldn't object to this anymore. But to make it sound like it's a service, hi, we're the BBC, and you can choose to pay for your TV lessons, or we're going to throw you in prison. Come on, there's somewhere in between here and there where maybe just encrypt it and I'll pay for it if I want it. I'll probably still pay for it, but I don't know. But is it not? Is it not time the BBC encrypted?
No, it's fine. It's absolutely fine the way it is.
I like the BBC.
Well, this is because you guys watch the Yorkshire Vet and things like that.
wrong channel.
All right. Well, look.
He's not even got a TV.
Let's talk some more tech stuff then. So this week, there's been a couple of new Teams features that have gone general availability, which you guys have been having a look at. So we had approvals, which we did a YouTube video on. So shameless plug, go and see Tuesday's YouTube video for Teams approvals. What did you make of the approvals feature? What did you guys think about it? I'm just going to get a screen of it up.
Good. Really nice.
It's quite nice.
Kind of enabling the end user as well, that kind of empowerment, that kind of low, no code kind of approach to, so the end users can actually, do what they want to do without having to go to IT, etc., depending on how you've got it set up.
Yeah.
You were quite right, though. It's not an audit trail. It's not perfect at the moment. But
you get some strange behaviour when people leave as well. So if a user leaves, the effectively that approval disappears. So that could be interesting.
I'm sure these are always bits that will get ironed out as well, and they always improve these kind of features as well. So
it looks quite good. I think I saw something mentioned potentially having some kind of DocuSign process as part of that approval as well, potentially moving forward as well. So third-party integrations with the
developing it.
Yeah. So that looks quite good.
That'd be cool. Like that.
I think it's really nice. I think we did spot some drawbacks with it that we talked about in the video earlier in the week, and you're right, Ben. That was about what if someone approves something and then leaves the organization later? That approval is just left from yes, it was approved, but by an unknown person, and so that audit trail isn't really there. But I think what we've got to remember, of course, is that Teams approvals is just like a really nice lightweight front end that's stuck in Teams to simplify something that it happens in the back end. If you wanted a really complex approval process, you can build all that stuff. Power Automate and SharePoint. You can absolutely make that yourself. But as a kind of just as a value add, turn it on, really nice way to save on some complexity. I think it's got some great value. It really does. Yeah. And again, it's free, inside Teams. We can't argue with that. I think that's a really good thing.
No, definitely. The one that I liked, I'm not sure when it actually came live in our tenant and others. Was it the Breakout Rooms?
Yeah, so Breakout Rooms. Yeah, tell me more.
I had used that, some training I had done recently. We use it quite a lot. It was remote training, obviously. So we had quite a lot of sessions with people from all over Europe. But we were using Zoom. And that's where they had the breakout.
How dare you?
Oh. I had no choice. I just opened it. But the breakout rooms were used there. It was great. Created X, Y, and Z rooms. Everybody went in, done a little bit of workshops, then back into the main room. This is the exact same. And it's there from within your meetings. Create a new room. You cannot. Well, there you go.
Scary face.
Yeah, indeed. I don't know. But no, it was great. It's up the top, just behind there, and then you can just access it from assigning people to the rooms. They can go in. You can pull them back into the main room. You can leave. Ideal for remote workshops. If you got a big audience, or as I say, training. It could be fantastic for schools. Mm-hmm. Go and work in your small groups. Do what you have to do. Come back.
So just in that context, like in a distance learning type thing or a classroom environment where you break people into groups, as the kind of instructor or the leader of that session, can you drop into each of those groups and kind of just check in and see how are you guys getting on? How's everyone? Where are you up to?
It's exactly what you can do. So you can just go and join a room.
Yeah, and as the instructor, you can force people in as well.
Yeah.
So you don't. Nice. Yeah.
I think it's one that will easily be missed, just sitting up there. People won't notice. Breakout rooms, okay. don't know what it is, not clicking on it. And when you do it on your own, it doesn't really work. So do a meet now, and then drag some people in if you want to play with it. It's quite good. Or just set up a scheduled meeting with colleagues and just have a play.
Yeah, you can name the group, the rooms and things as well, so you can get creative with those.
Not something you can do on your own. Sitting in a room, then going to another room by myself, just like being at home.
Oh my god! Oh, that sounded so sad for a second. But that's really good. And can I ask, because I haven't had a chance to play with this feature yet, you guys have been working on this. Do you get that same sort of video and desktop sharing experience, but just inside little clusters now, essentially?
Yep, exactly. That's exactly it. It looks the same. You're just in a different meeting room. When we first done it, I think when you assign people to it, it tells them in 10 seconds they're going to get moved, and then they get moved into the other room.
Okay.
So you get a little bit of a warning that you're getting put into a room. So I guess if you were just going to split people up, it can do it automatically, or you can manually set it as well. So yeah, it looks great.
Oh, that sounds great. No, I really like it. And again, we're doing a huge amount of distance learning, and I think Teams has been positioned quite heavily, I think, for education as well. So they're making a big play in kind of the remote learning experience. I think I love this idea for little breakout rooms.
Yeah, no,
it is hard to keep up, right? Because the number of features and things that get added to Teams, almost it feels like on a weekly basis. And don't get me wrong, I know there's a website I can go to. I know it'll tell me all the things that are coming. But you tend to get these things are all coming, and then they land like general availability, GA as they call it. They land like so many months later.
Yeah.
There's
the channel calendars as well, which is fairly new.
Oh, tell me more.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so basically, you've got a team, you've got a channel, you create that channel, you can publish a calendar within there, and you can schedule all your meetings from that channel. So, for example, if there's a particular project, the organizer will be that channel, and you can invite people. It publishes it in the actual Teams channel itself. People can chat and respond to things. It works quite nice. Yeah, so it's removing the need for traditional shared calendars, shared mailboxes. Literally, do everything in a team. Why bother with the old-fashioned mailbox?
No, that sounds good.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, because you already get shared mail as part of a team. You now get a shared calendar, so you literally don't need a shared mailbox. I mean, there are other purposes, but for that context, you wouldn't need a shared mailbox anymore. Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And now,
sorry, I was just going to say announcements that you kind of miss. You don't realise that it was one. It was just the other day I spotted it on Tom Arbuthnot's site. Was they're changing the default guest access?
Yeah, I think this is dodgy. That's me.
So it's the 8th. So it's the 8th of February, and there was quite a few posts from Tom and others, and at the start of December on this one. But then you don't really see or hear anything. And essentially, guest access at the moment for tenants is set to off, and you need to turn it on if you want guests.
Yeah.
From the 8th of February, the default will be on. Now, if you've already set up yours and you've changed it, so you've turned it on, then it will remain on. If you've actively set it to off, then I believe it remains off.
Yeah.
If you've done nothing, from the 8th, it will turn it on. So if you don't want guests and you've not done anything to prevent it having guests, from the 8th you will be allowing guests. Now it's just one of those little ones that will kind of sneak by and then oh wait, how come we're having guests in our meetings and we didn't have that enabled. But
one thing to be really careful with guest membership. So by default, in an Office 365 tenant, guests can invite guests. So you need to make sure you evaluate the actual impact of that guest access.
Yeah.
And if you do want to allow that, turn that inviting guest access off.
Yeah, that blog actually has a few different scenarios in there, because you can do stuff at the Azure AD level as well.
Yeah.
So what can overrides what, and if it's more specific, I think when it's within the Teams console. So yeah, it's well worth having a look at that.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, it's one of these things. I love that we can have guest access. I love that we can choose guest access in Teams, but I think, as with anything else inside the 365 portal, there's 50 or 60 different security controls, and you have to, go in and set them for your organization. but you have to regularly review them as well, because we might have done a security audit for someone and said, oh, do you know what? It's currently set at default. Default behavior is off. That's cool. We don't need to worry about guest access for this tenant. And then February 8th, that thing's just going to switch on. Exactly. So it's always worth going back and just, it sounds like a boring process to audit those, but at the end of the day, this is the home of your email and your files and your sharing. You're going to want to keep checking in on this stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I like that. I like that they're saying, if you manually set it off, it'll stay off. But if it's just kind of set that default setting, we're going to turn it on. I'm not really a big fan of that.
No, it doesn't seem right, does it?
It doesn't. No.
Maybe
Okay.
New tenants from that date change the default, but then again,
if you think about it, a new tenant within Microsoft, it still supports coexistent mode, so it still does Skype, still does Teams, but Skype isn't actually available within that new tenant. So you've still got the daft issue of actually having to jump into Teams and switch it to Teams only mode. Or you're going to get weird behavior in Teams itself when you're trying to communicate with other people.
Which is so weird when Skype is officially end of life.
Yeah.
And you can't set up a new tenant with Skype anymore. So why would okay.
Strange.
So I've got next in our little thing. So we've kind of covered our news and stories that have happened this week, and also a great little story from Martin about that Bitcoin cash machine. Nice. Ben, any weird stuff that you've seen this week that I think people would be interested in?
Yeah, so we had a weird one with the email signature. So we had a customer get in contact. Basically, no one's receiving my emails. I can't receive my emails. I don't know what was going on. So I had a look at it, and basically what it was is they'd modified their signature. They'd put their website in their signature, and Microsoft was picking up the fact it was HTTP and not HTTPS, which we all know is obviously a secure website. Once we swapped that to a secure website, fine. What Microsoft ATP was doing was actually detecting it was a phishing attempt. So high confidence phishing, and then and marking all his emails and sticking them in the recipient's quarantine. So obviously the emails were going missing to him basically. But what was even more funny is when people were replying to the original email, it was landing back in his quarantine because the previous email he'd sent had been detected as phishing because of the HTTP.
His signature in it.
Which was quite funny. Yeah.
And that is literally the case of a difference between one letter, right? He'd made his new email signature and he'd put on his website HTTP, website address, whatever it was, instead of HTTPS. So for the sake of one little letter, all of a sudden, and he actually, he told me he's sending emails to people that are time sensitive, like I need to get this done by Friday. You need to return this paperwork by Friday because we need to get this done. And he's not hearing anything back.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, I don't understand why. And then he eventually phones them up. Why aren't you responding? We've got to get this done by Friday. I didn't get your emails. What? Why?
Yeah, I presume anybody who's actually doing any kind of phishing attempt, are they called fishermen? I'm not sure. Sorry. So these fishermen, do they not use HTTPS? Can they not afford?
No, they do. And I think that's the weird thing is that so this is all Office 365 behavior. It was the threat protection in his own Office 365 and in the customers that he was sending his emails to. It was 365 that went, oh, there isn't an S on that website. Seems like a high confidence phishing attack to me.
Not 2010.
Come on. Just because he missed one letter. And it was amazing, when we went back to him, we'd done the investigation, went back to him and said, honestly, it's just because you didn't write the letter S in here. And you can almost hear the really?
That's a good find actually.
From a techie geeky perspective, so obviously got an SEL score of like 1 to 9. It was marking it as 9, so high confidence.
This is it was the worst it could be.
That sounds vicious.
It's like really, come on.
Russians interfering with the US democratic process was as bad as this man not putting an S on his email signature. Oh man. No, that's cool. Any other weird things that you saw this week?
I don't think so much weird. We had an interesting one. I think you were working on it. The Azure AD sharing type message you were getting with the traditional file shares, which were an easy fix and a simple fix in reality, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, and I think you did a really good job of making me feel like a dumbass for this, but I felt it was yeah. Well, he's the clever one. I felt it needed more explanation. But yeah, so we're helping a dentist move across to 365. We're setting up all of their computers on Azure AD with Intune and connecting those up to Azure AD, and they've got the server that sits in the back room that runs all of their dental applications, and that hadn't been moved to Azure AD yet. You fire up one of the laptops or one of the desktops on reception. You're like, okay, go and connect to the dental server application. No, but you can see the server, right? Yeah, I can see it. Okay, well, just connect. No, why not? And so I spent forever just going around saying, look, just map a network drive. Just, here's the username, here's the password, map a network drive. No. All right, you can see the server. Yeah. So map a network drive. No. And so I'm saying this to Ben, and he's going, yeah, of course not, you dumbass. Why? What? It's just a network share. Just map it as a network share. No.
It's the good old-fashioned Windows thing. Work groups and domain or Azure AD just don't play.
Yeah. So and the simple answer was go and get the server machine, stick it in Azure AD, works. Just works straight away. Okay. And again, I come back to him and go, you'll never guess what the answer is. And he's like, no, I know what the answer was. You're an idiot. It was obvious. Like, okay, I don't think that was obvious.
Scott, I'll back you up. I don't think that was obvious.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe
Years ago when I actually knew what I was doing with those sort of things. I'm with you.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that obvious. Cool. Well, those are all the stories that I wanted to cover this week. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to chat about just now?
Yes, I had an interesting query earlier on. So, a fairly big organisation using Intune quite heavily, and they come across a blog article and they've seen a thing called Chocolatey. So, a way of managing software and things on Windows devices and just basically making it really easy to deploy and update software. So, the fact that we're using Intune is sort of the whole point. So you manage config, you manage software. But what was interesting with combining Intune and Chocolatey was the ability to effectively deploy the Chocolatey agent. So it's basically like an agent, or Choco. It's like an agent that effectively just runs on the Windows machine, and you can fire up a command prompt and install Chrome or whatever like that. But basically what you can do with Intune is reference that same agent from an Intune perspective and force an install of an application. Which makes things slightly easier. You still have to publish the application and things within Intune itself, but in terms of managing it from an IT admin, it could be simpler depending on the software package. Obviously, Office 365 stuff's a lot easier to do natively within Intune. But if there's anything weird that has been packaged up and is available within the Chocolatey repository, you can literally one command to install, and you've got one command to do a full update of all your software on your machine. So quite nice.
That's quite. I've not come across Chocolatey before.
No,
I popped it up on the stream because we were unable to get subtitles today for Ben's Yorkshire accent.
Thanks.
Just kidding. But no, I've not come across Chocolatey, and again, Intune is great at pushing out, Windows images, or we can do autopilot now with Windows 10. We can push out a lot of software.
Don't say image because it's not an image.
You always get to me, but you can push out software with Intune, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was just this interesting concept of we can now do that in Intune, but there's also Chocolatey, and can we get the two of them to play together nicely? So I think that's really interesting. I think I'd like to see us do some more, exploration of Chocolatey and just have a look at that. Yeah. Interestingly enough, the dental practice that I was at earlier in the week, they have Chocolatey on their machine. So their current IT provider looks after that stuff and uses Chocolatey to manage the apps as well. So definitely one for us to take some interest in, I think.
Definitely, yeah.
Really cool. Right. Where have I gone? There we go. Oh, I lost my stream window for a second. I thought I'd killed it. I nearly had a heart attack. Well, that's cool. In that case, I'm going to close here. I think this has been a really interesting session. It has been amazing to chat to you guys. So I just want to say a quick thanks to Martin. I would say thanks to Ben, and thanks to Kaylee, who is behind the scenes. She's looking after us and looking after all the comments and socials. And guys, if you want to hear more from us, or you liked what you saw today and you just want to keep in touch, then by all means, you can follow us on LinkedIn, you can follow us on YouTube, and you can see more of the great stuff that we're putting out, see some of those things that we put together about Teams approvals earlier in the week. If you've got any questions or comments and you'd like to see us chat about those on the show, then just email us at hello@cloudnexus.co.uk. And after all that, I will see you guys next time. See you later on.
Cheers.
See you later.